feel like we've come so far, but we still have so far to go. We are having a little boy. Y'all know we are real around here, so I figure this baby is going to be so bald. No joke. Oh my gosh, those videos with praise hands emojis. So let's jump into it. Hello you guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I'm Ashley, and today we have our second trimester recap video. You're also getting a little peek into baby boy's nursery, but I'm so excited to announce that I'm doing a nursery series. It's literally probably going to be 6 to 7 parts, so lots of videos coming up where you can see us assemble, put together, do this whole room. But you're getting just a little synopsis right now. As of the time I'm filming this, I actually started my 29th week today. In this video, we will be covering everything in my notes, everything I wrote down, everything I can remember from my 14th week through my 26th week of pregnancy. So let's jump into it. Starting off with week 14, which did start on January 2nd. So basically at the new year, I started my second trimester. The baby is the size of a navel orange. Oh my gosh, those videos. I feel like we've come so far, but we still have so far to go. I have sciatica ? Because I was really starting to feel back pain, low back pain, high pelvic pain, butt pain, upper thigh pain. Yeah, all of that area where your sciatic nerve is where I was really starting to get symptomatic. And just a little news flash, that has definitely been the most pain-bearing area in my body. I think it's totally just from the distribution of weight. Like, you're so lopsided on your weight in that area because you're growing out so much, and then your back is kind of just still, like, it's not growing out. And so, yeah, I think it's just like kind of as your hips are widening and baby moves down and all that. We'll probably touch on that a lot more though. Setting up for the gender reveal. Our gender reveal was the 5th, so it happened in that week. So yeah, we were like doing errands and prepping and getting things ready for the gender reveal, and that's when we found out that we are having a little boy. Such a sweet time. And I had an OB appointment for measuring and lab work. But yeah, we did that genetic test. Then we are in week 15. Baby is the size of a pear. I have energy increasing here, which was such a nice thing. If you have been pregnant, if you're currently pregnant, you know that people talk about how tired you are in the first trimester. It is no joke. You're so tired in the first trimester. I am someone that can typically get over my tiredness when there's something I have to do or that needs to be done. And I can truly say that just was not me. I was not myself in the first trimester in that regard, because there were times that just exhaustion trumped a to-do list, and that's a lot coming from me. Next, I have nausea definitely decreasing with a bunch of the hand clap emojis, because it really was like a light switch flip from first trimester to second trimester, and the nausea decreasing, your energy levels increasing, just feeling so much more like yourself for that super blissful second trimester time. And the last thing is saw a prenatal chiropractor, parentheses, thank goodness. So that was the first time I saw a prenatal chiropractor in week 15. I will be seeing her through the rest of my pregnancy. I'm someone that loves the chiropractor. I look forward to it. I had a low back injury in high school, and I have been on maintenance since that point just to keep things regulated and pain-free. And typically in my normal life, not pregnant life, it's great and I do stay pain-free, but I will say that I'm not pain-free with pregnancy because of the weight thing like we were talking about earlier, but she is definitely worth it, and I really enjoy going to the chiropractor. Now we are in week 16. Baby is the size of an avocado. I feel like the little fruit stages they really do barely increase, because orange, avocado, pear, those are all kind of about the same size. But we are the size of an avocado, and I have on here new bras - been kneading for 2-ish weeks. Y'all know we are real around here, so I just tell you how everything is so you know what to expect. But yes, I am someone that is pretty flat-chested, small chest in general, and you really start increasing in that area pretty quick, or at least I did. And yeah, I can remember the struggle of being like, I need new bras. And so do yourself a favor, get those as soon as you realize you need them. Don't struggle like I did for a few weeks. Next, to go along with it, bigger areolas. I'll also add darker areolas. It's not in my notes, but yeah, that's real. you definitely, you're gonna see everything kind of like change in that area. Insomnia continues. So I guess this is when like, I can remember waking up a lot in the night. I also can remember having very vivid dreams, and they would wake me up and keep me up for like up to 30 minutes, which is so foreign to myself. So potentially be ready for that. Gas continues. I know that you guys heard me talk all in the first trimester recap about gas. It still goes on, it's still going on. I think it just really does continue as all the hormones are changing, your body is changing, etc. And I have on here headaches. I don't know if I talked on this in the last video or if it was in my second trimester officially, but I had some really bad migraines in my second trimester, which is very common. I didn't realize that at all until doing some research, but I was having some really bad migraines in my second trimester, which was just not a fun time. They really like took me out, to be honest. And it was not something I saw coming. Next, we are in week 17 and baby is the size of an onion. Here I have gas in all caps. I guess that's enough said. Heartburn. I will say I have not had nearly the heartburn that I've expected to have. I figure this baby is going to be so bald because I just am not having heartburn. Now it might get really bad in my last trimester. I don't know if you've been pregnant before. What was your experience with heartburn? Like, was it the whole time? Was it towards the end, etc.? But so far I've really not had any heartburn, but I guess like little flares here and there. And lastly, I have sore hips when I walk a lot. This is probably around the time that your body does start kind of opening, expanding, moving around in your pelvis and your hips. So yeah, you just start like feeling different. Your legs kind of get more sore, your hips get more sore. Now we are in week 18. Baby is the size of a cucumber. Obviously they're referring to length here. Headaches continue. Horrible low back pain in all caps. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the only way I can describe it, unfortunately. Heartburn again. Had an atrocious night of vomit with my newest favorite emoji. I'll put a little screen capture in of that. I am assuming that is the night that I had my first really bad migraine. Yeah, that was, the migraines were just really bad. Went to Louisiana for the weekend and noticed that all the travel on both travel days made me feel nauseous, tired, and irritable. Yes. I am not planning to fly anymore in this pregnancy. I have no plans to fly anymore in this pregnancy, but after our baby moon, I did count up all the flights that I've technically done in this pregnancy, and I have actually been on 10 flights in this pregnancy, which is really wild. And when I reflect back on them, aside from the first two, in which I was so early in pregnancy that I didn't even know I was pregnant yet, aside from those, every single time I have flown, I have had repercussions. And I'm not someone that ever gets really motion sick, has not really been ever bothered by flying, but whether it's exhaustion, nausea, actually throwing up, a migraine, just feeling really off, I have had that happen after every flight. So flights have just not really been my friend. Sore throat and lots of congestion. Been having congestion for a few weeks, but it's much worse this week. So pregnancy congestion is a real thing. Your body just really starts to like produce a lot of mucus, and it just like lives in you and you just are congested. And I'm sure I'm going to get to that part in like the future, as I think that's like really heavily in the third trimester. But I will say this was during January, February time when there's just like cold and flu season. It's, you know, you're just typically kind of like more congested in general. And I can remember this congestion lasting for a long time. And the worst part was that I couldn't take any medications to help myself get over it. So you just kind of live with it. Now we are in week 19. We are the size of a mango. I feel like we're maybe like really starting to pick up, increasing in size. I wrote rancid gas. Oh my word, I can't believe I used the word rancid, but okay. Next is congestion continues, but throat is doing better, which for me is a huge plus. If you ask me my like least favorite kind of sick, it is throat sick. I can't stand to have nagging cough, really sore throat when you swallow. Drinking is bothersome, you know, all that kind of stuff is just so painful to me. I hate anything with sore, scratchy, painful throat. So I was very happy to see go away. Started sitting on the ball. If you're new to pregnancy, you may not know, but a birthing ball will probably be recommended to you by some healthcare provider at some point in your pregnancy to start sitting on, to do pelvic exercises, hip exercises, but also just to really help with your posture. I'm at the point where I really try, it's hard, but I really try to avoid sitting back into a couch or a chair that's not a hard back chair at all costs, because my like low back and pelvis area, it's like screaming at me. If I stay in that position too long, it just hurts so much to get up out of that. Sitting on the ball is really good because you don't have a place for your back to really go. So you stay very upright and your knees are very in line. Yeah, get you a ball, start doing those little exercises. And I have headaches and migraines continue. Now we are in week 20. So obviously, if you're doing your pregnancy math, we are officially at the halfway point at this time. I remember this being such a fun milestone because you're halfway there, you've done half of it, you still have half of it. It's a very surreal feeling, and there's typically a lot of like perks that start to come with being halfway done with your pregnancy. The baby was the size of a sweet potato, and speaking of those perks, the main one being the anatomy scan. This is going to be that infamous long ultrasound that's like long awaited, where you're going to get to hopefully see lots of images of your baby. You're gonna get the like long strip of sonograms. It's just so fun because you feel like you get to know them like even more. You get to see what your body has been doing. It's amazing. I wrote, got to see baby boy super active and moving around and also stubborn. We are going to get to that. Baby boy's heart rate was 151 BPM and in the 69th percentile of weight. So yeah, he was already from week 20 measuring a little ahead of schedule on weight. And what was funny about the 151 was that was actually his BPM the very first time we ever heard his heart rate at the 10-week appointment at my OB. So it was like exactly the same, which was just so funny. I have Valentine's date. Luke and I had a really funny like Valentine's. It was more low key, but perfect for 20 weeks pregnant. We did our anatomy scan on Valentine's Day, which was a really fun way to get to commemorate that this year. But then we went to one of our favorite locations for dining downtown Nashville. It's called Chateau West. It's a French restaurant. It's very authentic. It's really good. And then we went and shopped around for car seats at Nordstrom. Such a nesting Valentine's date. Starting to feel more frequent flutters, I wrote, because definitely at this point, I was feeling those little kicks that I didn't really know exactly maybe were kicks, but thought maybe they definitely were. But yeah, starting to feel those little kicks is so fun, and little like movements and stretches. It's awesome. We had an OB appointment to review the anatomy scan results, and Luke made the Gideon's Bakehouse banana chocolate chip cookies dupe at home, and they were incredible in all caps. I love that this has made it into the pregnancy notes, is those cookies, because I feel like I've tried to just be more like, this is what we were doing this week and this is like the symptoms I was having, and I love that those made it. But if you've never been to Gideon's Bakehouse in Orlando, Florida, it's at Disney Springs, and they also have, I think, like a secondary location now at one of the malls in Orlando. Don't quote me on that. But Gideon's Bakehouse is one of our favorite places to go at Disney Springs. I feel like we go almost every time we go to the Orlando area. We go to Gideon's at least once, and we get some cookies and we eat on them throughout the week because they're super rich, delectable, and very large. But Luke and I's favorite, no doubt about it, is the banana chocolate chip one. And he found a dupe recipe online and he was determined to make them. And I feel like it was truly a labor of love because they took him so long to make. He had to do like such great lengths to make these cookies, but let me tell you, they were incredible. They were so similar, and they were so good. Definitely a treat. Now we are in week 21. Baby is the size of a banana. Was more tired this week, not sure why. Obviously not sure why. I don't remember because I definitely didn't really know then. Saw my chiropractor again. My spine is thankfully staying aligned and straight. Praise Jesus, hallelujah, with praise hands emojis. The first time I went and saw her, my spine was very much not like aligned and straight. It had a big curve kind of to it and like being pulled to one side. And that's something we've really been working on. It has definitely gotten pulled each way along the road, but it's doing a lot better, I think, than when I first saw her. So that was really good news. I also said, but my low back is carrying a lot of pressure and my right side is killing, which has been pretty frequent like the whole time. I feel like my right side has definitely carried more stress and more tenderness in it than my left. However, they are both sore, but something about the muscles on that side in that area are just not as flexible, I guess, and they're not working as well. Started sleeping with a wedge pillow. This is going to be a product you can definitely find in my second trimester products video that is coming out next. So please subscribe if you're not already, and I will explain more and show more about that there. Shortness of breath is starting to show. That was kind of hard to say. So as your baby grows and like moves up and gets like closer to your lungs and kind of like crowds that space more, you do just get out of breath more, and I don't really think there's any way around it. Thirst in all caps. I guess here I was really starting to get more thirsty, which is just a really interesting symptom. I feel like I'm someone that always has like a drink with me, and I drink pretty like heavily throughout the day anyways. And then kicking has really picked up and happening more frequently. I feel like you're about to hear a lot more just like kicking updates throughout, because it is crazy how kind of like week by week they're stronger, more frequent, more predictable, and yeah, I feel like that's kind of just how it is. We are now in week 22. Baby is the size of a papaya, and I put the Charlie horse in all caps, but unfortunately it was not going to be the only one. This was the first time I got a Charlie horse in my calf while sleeping, and it was very, very, very painful. I think it was still probably the most painful, but maybe because I wasn't expecting it and didn't know how to help prevent it or take care of it in the moment. We've worked on both of those things since, but that was something that was like a pregnancy symptom I had absolutely never heard, had no idea about. So let me be the first to tell you, if you haven't heard of it before, you might get Charlie horses in your sleep, in your rest period while pregnant, and they're rough. So talk to your chiropractor, your OB, anybody like that's kind of gonna be in that medical field that might know some tips and tricks on how to help with Charlie horses. Okay, we did have a camera battery change, so pardon the angle adjustment. Next, I have hips starting to hurt / be more sore when walking a lot. Same kind of symptom going on there. Next, I have discharge - leukorrhea. I guess I got that term from somewhere online. But pregnancy discharge, I guess, is called leukorrhea. As long as it is within the boundaries that are kind of like listed for normal and not cause for concern, then you're all good, and it is kind of expected. My OB told me at one point, like, it's gonna be very common to have normal discharge just because things are expanding, pulling, stretching, growing, changing. There's hormones happening. There's things being produced down there. So naturally, you're just gonna have some discharge. Constipation / really hard stool. I think this really was just for about a week. I don't know if I had less water intake or the foods I was eating were not like saturated enough with fiber or water or whatever it was. But anyways, I can remember a good like week. I was having a lot of bowel movement trouble. Flew to Cancun, 2 flights, got sick as soon as I got off the second flight. That was, yeah, again, with the throwing up and the flight issues. Flying is not mixing well with pregnancy. And the last thing is hot flashes. The hot flashes are so different for me because I've always been very cold natured, and that's really flipped in this pregnancy. I feel like I've had so many more hot flashes, just been hot, just like little moments where I feel like, what is going on? Is it just me? Is it everyone else? And that's a super common thing for pregnancy, but I'm really interested to see how that plays out, as I still have about 2-ish months left of this pregnancy and it's going into warmer weather. Next, I have week 23. We are the size of a carrot. Did much better on the flight home from Cancun, which was so nice. I think it was probably the timing and the fact I got a good breakfast in, I got good sleep the night before. All of those things definitely contribute to things. But I remember the flights home were probably the best I've ever done from a flight in this pregnancy. Another Charlie horse in my sleep, more frequent and stronger kicks, more Charlie horses. So I've documented it twice in that 1 week. We were like struggling for a good time. Week 24, size of an ear of corn. I feel like this is probably the point where I really felt like I looked really pregnant. Just had the really bumping stomach, and yeah, that's only gonna keep going. Anatomy scan part 2 got the left side of his heart, but we have to go back for a 3rd time. So in your anatomy scan, do not worry if they don't see everything or get everything in the first try. I've basically learned from almost everyone that hardly anyone gets everything that they need in the first scan. And this is just because like how full your bladder is or versus how empty it is, where the baby's positioned, how they're positioned, you know, the willingness of the baby to potentially move. I mean, all of this like definitely just takes into account. And so a lot of people do have to go back for a 2nd time. They didn't get, I guess, any good heart images in our first anatomy scan, so that's why we went back for a 2nd time. But unfortunately, they only got one side. I remember him like laying like this the whole time, or maybe it was more like this, because they got one side, but pretty much his arm was like blocking the other side, and they can't really do the ultrasound through bone. So we did have to go back for a 3rd. Baby boy's heart rate was 145 BPM and in the 69th percentile of weight at the scan. Really funny, he was stayed in the exact same percentage of percentile on weight when they did the weight measurement, and his heart rate was a little less. They like typically decrease as they get bigger, but also just kind of depends on like when you catch them at rest, at play, like whatever. Glucose test at the OB. Okay, let's talk about this because this has been one of my most like hot take things about pregnancy thus far. I had dreaded this glucose test appointment literally since finding out I was pregnant in October. That is crazy, but people online literally act like it is the worst thing ever to have to do. And I guess there could be certain factors that would make it better or worse, but let me tell y'all, I was like overhyping this so much, making myself really anxious and nervous about this glucose test. And I go in, they give me my drink, it's time to drink it. In my mind, I'm like, I'm taking this like a shot, throwing it all back at once. Like I'm just trying to chug, chug, chug and not think about it. But I take one sip and I can literally remember being like, wait, this tastes just like a Kool-Aid jammer. Like I would actually drink one of these by choice very often, which was so different than what I was expecting. So I just say, let's say, do not stress about this glucose test. You're going to do fine and that drink is not going to kill you. And lastly, I have on here passed my glucose test with more praise hand emojis because that was like the best news to know that I did not have to go in to do the 3-hour elongated version. Next we have week 25, size of an eggplant, gassy, with my favorite little melting emoji again. That is just really not going away. I don't know why I keep writing it down, but I guess just to keep reminding myself that it's happening. More movements, lots of sneezing, parentheses, and peeing, potential allergies coming on. So yes, I'm in Middle Tennessee. This is towards the end of March at this point, and it was starting to bloom. Everything has been starting to bloom here and is in bloom, and you can like tell everyone's allergies are spiking up and flaring up. I feel like mine have been doing the same, but yes, lots of sneezing. If you are pregnant, you've been pregnant, you definitely have experienced the leakage that comes with like large hard coughs or sneezes. All of my sneezes are full body experiences. I do not sneeze daintily like some people do. And so yeah, the sneeze and pee combo has been very prevalent. More frequent urination. So here at week 25, the baby is starting to get big enough where they're really putting some pressure on my bladder and you're starting to just go to the bathroom more. Luke has finished painting the nursery, closet, and bathroom. Stay tuned for those nursery reveal videos. I am so excited. And we had the Zoom meeting with the birthing center. I have not really talked about my birth plan on here at all, I don't think, but I will give a short little synopsis window into our lives. I am planning to do an unmedicated birth at the birthing center that is in the hospital that we will be delivering in. That is the plan as of now. A lot can still change as I still have like 10 to 11 weeks of this pregnancy left, but if you were considering doing that experience, then you had to do a mandatory Zoom with the birthing center just to get the lay of the land and really hear them out on everything that has to go right for you to be able to be a candidate to do it there, and then just talk about all the details. And lastly, we are at our last week of our second trimester, and it is week 26, the size of a spaghetti squash. I put last week of my second trimester, like I just said. First time he's kicked, kicked and I've seen it on my belly from the outside. I feel like I'm not great at predicting when he's gonna kick. I feel like we're getting better about that because I've definitely noticed a pattern of like certain times of day that I feel like he's more active and certain positions that make him kick more. So I may start really experimenting with that soon, but I remember him giving me a real good kick in the side and kind of seeing my belly like bump, and that was pretty neat. Started pelvic floor therapy and loved it. My doctor I'm seeing for pelvic floor therapy is so wonderful. Her and I click so well together, but I have actually, now that I'm recording this, been 3 times. I'm taking a little break until my next time, just based on like the typical routine appointments on time periods, but I've really enjoyed it and highly recommend going if you're pregnant, if you're freshly like postpartum, or if you think that you could just benefit from strengthening your pelvic floor. Highly recommend going. And the last thing I have on here is toward the hospital. So we did the Zoom meeting, but then the next week we went and had an in-person tour of the hospital. We got to see the birthing center and those suites and that detail, and then also a standard labor and delivery room to get to see both. We went up to the postpartum wing and to that floor, saw those rooms. Yeah, just kind of got to see it all. It was really beneficial. So if you are someone that is going to be giving birth kind of soon and you haven't done a hospital tour, get you a hospital tour booked, because I think it's really nice just to know where you're gonna go, familiarize yourself with the area before it is like go time. Okay guys, and that is it for this video. This has been my second trimester recap. The second trimester is truly so blissful. I feel like you're not uncomfortably big yet, but you have a lot more gusto and stamina than you do in your first trimester, just because of less nauseousness typically, and then less drowsiness and sleepiness. So it is just that like golden trimester. But we are now officially a couple weeks into my third trimester, which means baby boy is coming soon, and so are a lot of pregnancy related content videos. So please give this video a like, comment below, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'd love to have you around here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!